Alright, let's stop with the jokes. League has a leaking problem. But that might not be the biggest problem we'll talk about today. So I'll be honest, originally I had no plans of covering the Zahen leak. That is simply because it is a leak, it kinda ruins Riot's planning for marketing and stuff like that. On top of which, we are talking about a single screenshot which still doesn't really have credibility. On top of which, for a while, nobody knew that something was happening. But then, people started tweeting about it and League of Memes picked it up. Which is when the memes really started going. Now, there were hundreds of thousands of impressions and the cat was out of the bag. Or, let's say, the bird. Or, let's say, well, you'll see. And speaking of big numbers, a lot of impressions and things being out of the bag, that's what today's sponsor is! There is one thing that everyone deals with on a daily basis. There is one obstacle that hinders all of you every day. And that is struggling with your web browser. It is crazy that some people still live in the past. And they use browsers that are slower, less safe, and way less customizable. Which is something Opera GX can fix for you. This video is sponsored by Opera GX. We talked about Opera's many features in the past, such as custom home screens, great optimization options, and social media integration. But now, worlds are happening and Opera GX is bringing in new features in collaboration with Riot Games. First of all, Opera GX has its own loot that is planned to drop during the finals. So on November the 9th, if you are watching on LoL Esports using Opera GX, keep your eyes peeled for the notification that will give you exclusive Hextech chest loot for League of Legends. If you are not using Opera GX, you will be redirected to download it. Next, Opera GX is still standing strong in its battle against pop-up ads. I mean, we've all had to use the old League wiki in the past, which is littered with pop-ups, so Opera GX can make your searching a lot safer for you. And again, as part of the Worlds event, by using the Earn Your Legacy code, you can get 2 months of free VPN Pro on top of that. On top of that, also part of Worlds, we have the Riot Corner. This is an official Riot place where you can follow all of Riot's major events with detailed calendars. And there is a separate streamer section for your favorite League of Legends streamers. All of that comes built into the browser with the Riot Corner mod, which comes already pre-installed if you use the link in the description. And in case you just like the League aesthetics, of course, Opera has it covered too. That's where the customization comes in, so pick your poison. Literally, I guess. And finally, don't forget that switching to Opera is as easy as a single click. The browser has its own quick import tool that converts all your previous settings and all your bookmarks from other browsers into Opera, so the transition is very seamless. So go ahead and make sure to get Opera GX using the link in the description, which not only sets up the official League of Legends mod for you with the Riot Corner, but it also gets you ready for the exclusive loot drop. With that, many thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring this video, and now let's go back to talking about League, I guess. So yes, spoiler alert, today we are gonna be talking about leaks. As far as we know, all of these originate from Big Bad Bear, and they do show us some in-game screenshots of Zahen. So beware if you do not wish to be spoiled, or if you do not wish for your eyes to bleed, go away. But if you are a masochist, let's dive in. So Zahen has had quite an interesting history. It is a champion that was originally teased by LeBlanc, after which he was the first time properly revealed in Yunara's comic. There, the Darkin glaive looked a lot less like a Darkin, and that is because he was confirmed to be one of the rare few uncorrupted Darkin. So to some degree, this form did make sense, except the fact that he still looked like a human, because the vast majority of the Ascended were animalistic. And yes, remember that all Darkin used to be the Ascended, which is where some people started assuming that perhaps Zahen's Ascended abilities were banished away. But then, fast forward till the next Yunara comic, and suddenly we learned that Zahen was animalistic. He did appear to be a bird, and the furries rejoiced. But I'll be honest, in general, people absolutely adored this design. Zahen looked amazing here. It was another birdie boy, and everyone was excited about it. Azir finally got a friend, which brought up a theory. Perhaps he did appear more human-like in the comic because there he was in the spirit realm. And so what if in the spirit realm you can see the true appearance of someone's soul? Meaning that he could be a bird on the outside, but he did technically start as a human. And of course, in case you forgot, Zahen willingly let himself get banished in the spirit realm because he could feel he was slowly getting corrupted. And he simply didn't want to become another Darkin. And that is where the glorious leaks come in. And so, ladies and gentlemen, feast your eyes on Zahen, the birdie boy, who might be a Squidward now. So yes, you can imagine just about everyone's reaction when they saw this. Because this is not really an appealing champion, is it? I mean, sure, without context, if we got this big blue shirtless guy as a champion, it doesn't look that bad. But the problem is that we do have context. We could have gotten a really cool bird guy. Or we could have gotten a slightly more celestial cool guy. But somehow this is the third form we got to, and it might be the worst of all the others. Which is where we get to tackle the elephant in the room. Why is he blue? I don't know. But why is he human? I don't know. But people quickly started assuming that this was all part of Riot's plan. Because remember, pretty faces sell more skins. We all know that monster champions never sell anything. But the issue here kinda is that even after taking the bird away, Zahen isn't really appealing. Which is ironic because people would really like the bird instead. And it's kind of funny that Riot is now going into full circle because in the past, around the Yone time, they just kept releasing more and more sexy champions that were mostly shirtless, and the community fired back pretty hard. Well, now we are slightly leaning towards that direction again. And that is exactly when the memes started spreading around. Where is the bird? Why does he look like a caricature of Poseidon? Be careful who you call ugly in middle school. Riot, when you are a monster champion. Zahen looking like a handsome Squidward. He's ugly. Then there are also some people who realize that he is actually using the Galio color palette. That tweet specifically kinda blew up with the impressions. And then there is my favorite conversation. Why isn't he a bird? Cause he was sealed in a weapon. Then unseal him or some He ugly as hell! So yes, it seems like at a first glance, the vast majority of the internet are not really fans of his design. Now here, we have to keep in mind that not only is this screenshot old, but also it is an incomplete screenshot. So who knows? Maybe some design aspects can be changed? Maybe the birdie aspect is gonna be a paid skin? Hey Riot, you can totally turn this into a traditional skin like Victor, right? I mean, can you imagine how much the team had to panic once they realized that people actually like the bird more? Also, that just made me realize, what if Xin Zhao actually picks up the weapon? What if Zahen takes Xin Zhao's body? What if that is actually Xin Zhao? Anyway, this is not where this story of Zahen leaking ends. No, this time around, the process of how this leaked was really weird. You see, I don't know if they actually expected anyone to do this, but I went back 4 months to look at the first leaks that happened. Because in case you don't know, before we got this screenshot, the first time Zahen leaked, it looked like this. This possibly happened around Spirit Blossom. And how does that happen? Well, these days there are many ways. It doesn't even have to be the devs sending files between each other. Maybe Riot hired a cosplayer to set up a cosplay, because it seems like Zahen might release around Worlds. For marketing purposes, this would be really cool, so what if there is a cosplayer who had an NDA and ignored it? Regardless, through one method or another, about 4 months ago, Zahen leaked. And in Big Bad Bear's video, we got this, which is a hand-drawn image of Zahen, which at the time of that video was the Darkin that still didn't have a name. Anyway, the point is that this image was seemingly hand-drawn, and it was credited to someone, who apparently drew this based on a leak. This alone is slightly sussy. At the same time, I'm not sure if it is smart to put someone's handle in the video. But then, a month later, after we got way too many videos talking about the leaked Darkin, there was an update to the leak. Now it was said that this wasn't drawn from a description. No, it was traced, which now, in hindsight, looking at the screenshot, is quite obvious. After which, another month later, now we got full color. There weren't any additional leaks or anything like that. No additional sources. It was just like, I'm gonna fill in the colors, I guess. Which again, kinda strange to do. Nothing in the lore or the comics suggested that that champion should be blue. After which the final leak came in, which was a screenshot, which perfectly matched the previous image. As in, no, this image isn't like a close approximation. No, it is very obvious this was just traced. And it doesn't match perfectly because the angle is skewed, because now the screenshot was actually a photo taken with a phone. Speaking of which, what's kind of funny here is that that screenshot is not a full screenshot of the champion, but the trace is. Now, if you put 2 and 2 together, did they have the full image from the beginning? Which is how they know the full appearance of the champion, including the colors? Did they fake trace the image because they were afraid that Riot would figure out the source if they leaked it during Spirit Blossom? Which, yes, you can tell that this is happening during Spirit Blossom because you can see Spirit Blossom in the background. After which they made 6 different videos to drag everything for engagement. As in, here's the base form, oh now we know the abilities, oh now we know the colors. And at the end, we got this? You traced the full body before, we know you have the full screenshot. So, did you take a photo of your own monitor with your own phone to fake this as a new separate leak? I'll be honest, this might be the biggest and most curious spaghetti that ever appeared in the leaking community. Because how does all of this go down, I have no idea. But I can tell you one thing. Riot is probably pulling out their hair. Because for the 3rd time in 3 months, that's another leak.